Live from the Stream Center in Tampa, Florida, the home of News Channel 8, your official Bucs station. This is Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now.
Oh, yeah, the Buccaneers defying the expectations in Detroit, pulling out a huge win on the road with the Broncos up next at Raymond James Stadium. But with injuries piling up, could the Buccaneers be vulnerable to an upset loss at home? We're going to be talking about it. Right, exactly. Dun, dun, dun. On Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now. Man, I love having Aileen in the Stream Center because, you know,
look at Dan just standing there like, what about me, man?
Yeah, no, just you're ready to bring the flair. Dan's
Heck yeah,
here
look, Dan's flying. Hey, I got some coffee for you.
Yeah. Oh,
got some coffee. Oh, there it is.
I
That's
never
what he needs.
stream without coffee.
Boom.
Never.
That's gonna have a sponsor logo on it, probably.
It's
in the
available.
Next, yep, there it is.
We need to put that on a pillow.
It's
Never
available.
stream without coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll sew one for you. I used to sew, guys. All right, that's a different
Guys,
conversation.
I can tell you this. Ford Field in Detroit
Oh, my.
is loud.
Wow.
I thought it was louder this past Sunday than it was in the playoff game. I don't know if that's because I was at both, and
Yeah.
it was loud. Now, I've been in Ford Field before where it was like dead inside. So back in January, that was a shock. Now, at the time, the Lions were one of the great stories of the going into the NFL playoffs. I thought it was really cool to be in that atmosphere. Now, that was their second straight home game as well. So they had an overtime game against the Rams. The Bucs roll in, and the fans were well aware of the scenario. It's 2 games in a row for them that were playoff matchups. And those fans were ready. They were ready to go. And I thought, man, it'd be great. I know Ray J was great for the opener against Washington. It would be great to really rock and roll Sunday against the Broncos.
You know, I'll tell you, I'll put some respect on the Detroit fans in general over there. Like, not just the Lions, but Detroit fans in general. You guys are passionate. You're expressive. You're great. I respect it. But I'll tell you, nothing felt better than that.
Yeah.
And I'll say this too. You guys know I'm from around the area, so a little bit of a homer sometimes, but I can do it, right? We can do that. We're from the area too.
Exactly.
Okay, fine. Now he's like,
I'm
you have no excuse.
I'm a creamsicle Buck fan.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it.
Nothing felt better than that win, especially after the way the Bucs ended their season last year. And I even heard Jamel Dean in the locker room today. He's like, "Man, we really did want to win that game." Like they could say all they want, but they had a little bit of a bad taste in their mouths after that loss. But you mentioned the noise too. I feel like when I'm editing, right, I can. It almost seems extra loud. From how loud the fans were in that crowd. So respect for you guys, but hey, come on. Bucs with the win, baby.
And this is why that win mattered for the Bucs so much. Obviously, you want to win the game in front of you. To go 2-0, yes, all those in the above. There's a chance these two teams see each other in the postseason. I thought it was important. Now, by the time we get to December, this game might not even be relevant as to where these two teams are, how they're playing, all that kind of stuff. But it was important for the Bucs to show themselves they could beat this team because it was the third time they've played
for them.
Third time in 11 months they have played them, and the first game in Ray J last year was a bit of a clunker for the Bucs, and then they couldn't get over the hump in the playoff game. So you go up there. Detroit's now. I mean, neither team is under the radar, so it was a marquee game for a 1 o'clock, and Detroit was ready to go. And the Bucs got the win. It was very important for the Bucs to show themselves, okay, we could beat this team. Now let's move on. They got other challenges coming up, but it was big for that week.
Huge.
Swagger is the word right now. I love.
JB's a cool dad.
Dude, swagger.
He's not just a regular dad.
Is that word
He's a cool
like,
dad.
is that a modern word or is that like an old school word now?
I feel like it's a very 2015 word.
All right. So
it's 2024.
I'm bringing it back to 2020.
I think it's old because I know it.
2015.
Because usually when I hear a word, I have to look it up. And that's how I know what the old words are.
Swagger.
I think it's lit is actually a little bit more recent. Maybe go with it's lit.
The Bucs are lit right now.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
They are lit right
Lord
now.
have mercy. It's true.
And
it's true.
rising in power rankings, gaining national respect. And this is your Buccaneers game recap. The Buccaneers defeating the Lions 20-16. I'm not going to read through all the stats. You know them. You can Google them. It was a great day, of course, for the Buccaneers in Detroit. Now they come home to face the Denver Broncos, a team that, let's be honest, aren't lit right now.
No.
Yeah. Things are rough for Sean Payton and the squad over there in Denver. What's wrong with that team?
Well, they're not doing a whole lot right. You know, the Steelers went in there. And the Steelers hadn't scored a touchdown the week before, and moved the ball very effectively. This was supposed to be the Russell Wilson revenge game, and it just wound up being just in a weird atmosphere, a weird Sunday. Right? Wilson didn't even play in the game, but you know, Bo Nix, he's swimming a little bit, and that's the thing about a rookie quarterback. As you go week by week, you hope he's going to get better, and I think he will. Sean Payton certainly has a knack for working with the young quarterback, so that's going to be something to see as he goes along. But right now, things are happening a little bit fast for this young man, and the Bucs have a responsibility to get to him and create that kind of pressure. And the Bucs haven't done as much of that themselves through the first two games as they would like. They want their quarterback sack numbers to go up. I believe they have 2 for the season. I might be wrong on that, but so that, you know, they got to get that going. It was the pressure in Detroit that led to the interceptions, especially the Christian Izien interception was all pass rush. Izien kind of camped out back there and just made a great catch for the interception. But if they can do that, it's going to be a long day for poor young Bo Nix. But he's there for a reason. He is very talented.
Yeah, yes. I agree.
So, and he can run that style offense, you know, what he did in Oregon. Spoke for itself. So catch him now rather than later in the year when he's firing.
It's true. And JB, I just love that question. Like, what's wrong with them? You know, it's just like resonating with me. Just what's wrong with them?
Their main running backs get 2.1 yards per carry.
They do not have a run game.
No.
And on the other side of the ball, their run defense is not great either. Two main guys I would be concerned about is the cornerback, and I'm going to come back to his name. Correct. And then Zach Allen, defensive end. Those two guys you want to watch out for on defense. There you go. Well, now he took Antoine Winfield.
He had it for a day or two, and then Jalen Ramsey got it again.
Another one. There you go.
So in a span of 3 days, Antoine went from 1 to 3 on the defensive back.
Yeah.
Payroll.
And you talk about Bo Nix too. You mentioned the word interception. Heath has thrown 4 in the last 2 games. So mentioned the head being on a swivel 100%. And then when you have all of this, you know, kind of pressure too, I think that adds so much of an impact. And you're right. Sean Payton is so great working with rookie quarterbacks. And I think over what, JB, I hear you thinking.
No, I'm sorry.
What has gotten to the Bucs in the past are rookie quarterbacks or backup quarterbacks who come in and for whatever reason they are resilient. The Bucs play well early on in games, and as the game goes on, the quarterback is resilient. And the next thing you know, what started out as this is going to be a fun day, turns into a 1-score game at the end, and you're thinking, what is going on here? And that's the first thing we attack the Bucs defense for. Why couldn't you get this rookie, you know, make his day a hard day?
But I think the Bucs know that, right? Yeah. Even in the vibe in the locker room today and talking to the coaches and players, and of course, no way, I'm sure they're aware this is a winless team. You know, this is actually measuring stick for the Broncos this week, because this is a chance for them to get back on track. Correct. But the Bucs in the locker room, this is week 3 for them. This is, you know, this could be the 49ers. This could be the Chiefs. This could be the Panthers. This could be the Broncos. It's Baker Mayfield said it himself today. We have to play exactly like we did last game. We have to perform 10 out of 10 because it is so, I mean, what did we say last week? It's so hard to win games in the NFL. By the way, speaking of last week, just touch on this real quick. Come on. Dan, come on.
Oh, yeah. No,
come on.
I know where this is going.
We skipped this.
What?
Someone was right.
I didn't think the Bucs were going to win.
Yeah, no.
And I said by a field goal, and it was by 4 points.
To defend Dan for a second,
sure.
He was with most of America who thought that the raucous fan base there in Motown was just going to steamroll any opponent that came in.
I didn't think they get steamrolled. I just thought that the key injuries were too much to overcome.
And I'll acknowledge that.
In the game, when Vita Vea left the game, I just thought, you know, well, first of all, let's backtrack.
I know, sorry.
I know we don't want to bring this back up again.
Okay, we'll close it after this.
But Aileen Hutchinson with 3 sacks in the first quarter, when you knew what was coming and you talked about it for days, we got to stop Hutchinson. So that started out that way. The fact that they were, you know, in the lead and it was the Lions that had to match them for scores, unlike in January, it was the other way around. I thought this is great. This is best case scenario. The Bucs can steal one here. And I thought they took over the game later. 2 defensive stops to finish it off. Tremendous. Tremendous job by the Bucs.
You mentioned Aileen Hnatiuk. Todd Bowles said this Zach Allen guy, he reminds him of Aileen Hnatiuk. Last game, career high 8 pressures and a sack on 28 pass rushes. That's on Next Gen Stats. So, what do you think Baker Mayfield can get by this guy? What do you guys think?
Well, it just falls on again where they line him up, and if they move him around, like Hutchinson moves around. Hutchinson plays all around during games. This is once again spotlight on Luke Gedeke. Can he get through concussion protocol and just shore up the right side of the offensive line? Because I can tell you this, they had 2 tight ends and Justin School who was filling in a tackle, and Hutchinson was still putting pressure on Baker. When he did, there was one play early in the game where Baker just ducked under this big paw that was going to be another sack. That would have been a sack.
I just laugh. It just sounds like Baker.
It was just crazy. So, yeah, if I'm the Broncos, I'm going after this exactly the same way Detroit did.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Exactly the same way. That's the blueprint for them.
Baker's got more elusiveness than I think people give him credit for sometimes. So, yeah, it felt like that happened in slow motion when he was able to dodge Hutchinson in that moment. To go back really, really quickly, Aileen, here's the thing about the Broncos that just doesn't add. I figured it out. I figured it out like 2 minutes into the episode. I am not used to seeing. We're so used to seeing Sean Payton on the opposite sideline after his many years in the NFC South and being formidable and intimidating, and it's just different.
It's so different
with the Broncos.
Yeah,
and it hasn't gelled yet.
I agree.
It's early, but it's still weird to see a coach that is so synonymous with winning be on
the other side.
On the other side.
It just worked in New Orleans.
But remember
this, gelled there.
Though he has had tremendous success over the years against the Bucs.
That's true.
As a sum,
he hasn't figured out, no doubt.
He no doubt. There are tendencies to the scheme,
for sure.
And this is where like the Liam Cohen thing comes in. Maybe there'll be some differences that he's not ready for. But there's now 2 games of film on the offense, and the offense has been pretty good. Not great. 216 total yards last week. Didn't stay on the field very long in many cases. Well, they had pretty productive drives that got points and field goals again. That's 2 weeks in a row of that. But the defense was on the field for 83 plays against the Lions. That's not really a sustainable thing. So the offense wants to, as Baker says, be efficient. And they've got to maintain drives and keep the football and keep time and get the defense off the field. That's the recipe this week. That has to improve over the Detroit game for sure.
We will continue getting into the Bucs game preview. We're going to talk more about the Broncos, more about the injuries, more about Bo Nix in just a couple minutes. First, I want to get the Buckified Bert on the line, and
yeah, what kind of mood is he in?
You know exactly what kind of mood he's in.
Hello, JB. Hello, Aileen. Hello, Dan the man. Hey, look, I'm so excited for having this opportunity to talk to you all because the Buccaneers are undefeated, and we're going into week 3. We beat a good team last week, and everybody know the Lions was so close to going to the Super Bowl last year, and that's the team that we beat. I mean, we pretty much manhandled them. Yeah, I got to give them credit for getting a lot of sacks, but the one sack that really count was when we went there and sacked a W. So we got 2 W's, and they got 6 sacks, okay? All right, but they're a 500 team, just like the other team that we beat. They 500. Now we're getting a chance to play against a team that hadn't won a game, the Broncos. The Broncos don't have what it takes to stand up to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Shake and bake, Baker Mayfield did what he had to do last week, and he's on fire, and he's going to be home getting that tender love and care. So get ready for the 3-peat. I mean, win, win, win. All we do is win, win, win. Baker Mayfield going to take it Sunday with no problem. Got a rookie quarterback that's going to be playing for the Denver Broncos, so get ready. 3-0 come Sunday, all right? I'm going to pass this bad boy to Casey Sloan, and she going to tell you about the god of the squad of the receiving team, all right? This Buckified Bert, and I'm out.
The Bucs are drawing national attention after their huge win over the Detroit Lions, as they should, but the player who drew my attention on Sunday was none other than someone that I believed would have a great season this year. So this week's KC StatChat Player of the Week is Chris Godwin. Godwin led the team with 7 receptions for 117 receiving yards with 1 touchdown on Sunday. All 117 of his receiving yards came in the first half, which were his 3rd most in any single half of his career and his most since 2019. The receiver has amassed 21 career 100-yard receiving games in the regular season, which is the 2nd most by a Tampa Bay player in franchise history, trailing only teammate Mike Evans, who has 36. Now, lucky for me, I have Godwin in my fantasy football league, so I was extra happy with his performance on Sunday. But that's all I have for you guys this week, and I'll see you next week.
KC and Buckified, but really quick. I mean, for Chris Godwin, don't call it a comeback.
Four words. Oh, Chris Godwin in the 5. Chris Godwin in the slot.
Ooh.
Right there, baby.
Yeah.
5 words. Chris Godwin in the slot.
I'll give you the Todd Bowles description of Chris Godwin. Ready? Well, if they're gonna double Mike, you're gonna single Chris. Baker will find him. You gotta pick your poison. Pick your poison.
Weapons all around.
There you go. Great Todd Bowles.
Iconic.
From
Pick your poison
here.
Just pick your poison. Teams are doubling Mike.
I hope he hears you impersonate him. I can't wait to see him show.
I hope not.
Coach, this is.
I hope not.
Dan thinks this is how you sound.
I'll say this. So we walk into the stadium the other day, and we're walked in with a couple of Lions fans that were just happened to come up upon us, and we were chatting about the game. And the guy's like, yeah, no, he was a season ticket holder during the 0-16 year. I mean, this guy, he says, it's so much fun now. You know, I'm like, I go, that's cool to hear, to be honest with you. I love it. And he goes, so, yeah, I'm hoping we get a big win today. He goes, but I got Godwin on my fantasy team.
Oh.
And I thought, so when the Godwin hauled in that 41-yard touchdown, I thought about this guy. I'm like, oh, man, I know it's bittersweet, but you are, when you play fantasy football, you're like, yes. That's huge for my team. 117 yards and a touchdown. Good on you, Lions fan. I hope he helped you win your game.
When I was in the stands for the home opener at Raymond James Stadium, everyone around me in my section was just checking their fantasy teams,
That's so funny.
Exactly.
You know, it's like you got a game in front of you. You're still looking down at your phone, checking your fantasy team.
I'm 0-2 right now. I don't want to talk about fantasy football.
Me too. I am also 0-2. It's rough in these streets, Aileen. Rough in these streets, man. So Godwin has been an eye opener, no doubt. But to go back to Buckified Burt really quickly, I need a little correction there because he said all the Bucs do is win, win, win. Well, no, hold on. They got 2 of those wins, Buckified.
Win.
He's just trying to manifest.
Right, he is.
Did we read each other's minds?
I think, yes, that's exactly right. He is trying to manifest
Oh my God, win 3. Oh my God, win.
Look at that. Hold on. We're
Dad jokes.
We're just all in a groove today on Bucs Bonus.
Oh my gosh.
So look, we talked about Bo Nix, but just really quickly, just to add a little bit more there. Again, if you're Todd Bowles, you're bringing the house, right? I mean, you're getting creative and you're trying to capitalize on someone who's struggled in his first 2 games out, Dan.
Absolutely you are. And this is where the interior of the defensive line is so important for the Bucs and why, he lists Vita Vea's day-to-day. He listed that Monday. If you didn't see it, Vea was engaged with a blocker, and Yaya Diaby got shoved to the ground and hit his knee from the side. It was really awful looking. And when you see something like that, you think the worst. So I saw him in the locker room after the game. He's walking around. He had a brace on, but he's walking around. Wasn't visibly limping or looked like he was dealing with much pain. Next day, Bowles says the MRI came in. He has a grade 2 MCL sprain, and he's day-to-day. That took everybody by surprise. I don't know if he plays this week or not, but day-to-day means he could play this week. Kalijah Kancey next to him hasn't played in the first 2 games. They are being very, very cautious with his calf strain, and because of his calf strain history, if it has to be a 3rd week out, you might be saving him from missing 7 weeks by going too early. That said, the pass rush is not quite where they want it to be without those 2 guys in it. And it's not freeing up Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, Yaya Diaby, Anthony Nelson has been playing well the first 2 games, but when he gets into the game, it's not giving those guys a chance to get home. And I think that's why the sack numbers are not where we thought it would be.
I agree.
So this all goes into how do you pressure Bo Nix and make his day miserable? These interior defensive line guys have got to do that. So the guys stepping in. Greg Gaines played a lot. He's a veteran player. C.J. Brewer, a practice squad guy. Mike Green is a veteran who came out from the practice squad for the first 2 games. Somehow they've got to get a push going to free these guys up on the outside. If they can do that, then the defense could have a really fun afternoon.
It's crazy to think about, like, Vita Vea being day-to-day after an MCL sprain. You think of that and you're like, okay, you're out. But for him to be marked as day-to-day, like you said, potentially being on the field on Sunday is insane. More good news. I did see him Wednesday at practice. He was not there during the open media portion, but I saw him walking from the indoor facility back into the locker room. So he's walking. Yeah. I'm not sure if I saw his brace or not. It was really, really far away. So TBD on that. But still good news. More good news. Luke Hnatiuk, who still concussion protocol. We're waiting to see. We don't have the injury report, official injury report yet. But he was out there. It was a walkthrough, very, very light practice. I guess maybe not considered walkthrough, but it was a light practice, so take back on the walkthrough. He was there with the rest of the offensive line, obviously moving a step forward. Antoine Winfield Jr., no boot. Didn't see a boot on him. He was working off to the sideline.
Still don't expect to see him.
Still don't expect him, but it's positive penny over here, man. No boot. He was out there with his team, so we're looking at the positives.
Todd Bowles did acknowledge regarding Luke Hnatiuk. Asked about him today. He said he's now made his way outside, which last week we didn't see Hnatiuk at all. So that was Zion McCollum was coming out of the concussion protocol. He was practicing normal all week, and that's with a concussion you can't say, oh, well, he should be back this day or that day. It doesn't work that way. So the fact that Hnatiuk has at least made his way outside, I want to see the injury report to see if he did not practice or if they call him limited today. So
I'd imagine limited. I'm going to get, but do not quote us on that. We don't have it out, but I would think.
I think he has to. I think part of the steps before you get to the testing is to be full. So when that comes out, and Thursday and Friday has a report as well. But just hope it's the right pace and the right recovery for him. But he's of all the injuries. I just talked about Vita Vea. Luke Hnatiuk to me right now is concerning.
It is, and he would be going up against outside linebacker Jonathan Cooper, so that would be a key matchup. And if he doesn't, obviously Justin will take his place. But fingers crossed, lots of positives going on in terms of injuries. Things are looking up. That's the bottom line you can take from injuries. Things are looking up.
Well, I'm going to play a dangerous game for a second.
I'm scared.
Okay, this is dangerous.
Okay, here we go. Put on your seatbelt.
They discourage the practice that I'm about to exhibit here on this program.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to look past the Broncos for 1 week.
Oh, dear. Oh, gosh.
And we're gonna say that the Bucs are a considerable favorite at home against the Broncos. You're talking about Hnatiuk's a big injury on the offensive line, and then a trifecta of really big injuries defensively between Vita Vea, Kalijah Kancey, Antoine Winfield Jr. If you're Todd Bowles, you're probably really honed in on the Broncos right now. But I'm looking at that Jalen Hurts-powered offense in Philadelphia coming into town.
That's a win.
And you're trying to get some of those guys back for that game. No, I mean who's realistic for week 4 against the Eagles?
I think in the NFL, if your guys are ready to go and they can play, and your first stringers can play, regardless if it's the Eagles, regardless if it's the Broncos, they're going to have them on the field.
Right, but optimistically,
you would hope that they're ready for that game. I think the Bucs win regardless who's on the field in that game, especially if they go. I'm calling 4-0 going into the Falcons game.
Whoa!
I'm just saying.
Oh, wow! We have it on the record. How does Todd Bowles feel about that?
Hey, Todd Bowles,
hold on.
Come on, Todd Bowles.
One more time.
You know what's funny? The next week he whispered into the mic. He goes, "I'm excited."
We'll have to review that one up too.
We'll get that one too.
Wow, I like that. I
bold
love
prediction.
The bold 4-0 prediction from Aileen, and we'll have to come back on the October episode.
Look, I'll eat my words if that's the case. I will own up to it. I'll admit I'm wrong, and I'll say, but I'm going 4-0 into the Falcons. We'll see. Yeah,
Eagles beatable on Monday Night Football.
I think they are.
Look, they just lost to I'm blanking out who they just
Falcons
lose to.
Just beat them on a bizarre coaching decision and a dropped pass. and it gave the ball to Atlanta with time to go win the game. It was from the Eagles' perspective, it was the game was over already. It was won, and they unwon it. Is that how you say that?
Unwon.
They unwon the game.
Yeah. You were we're saying that from now on.
Right. That's the
unwon.
The game was won, and then they unwon it. So that's how that ended up. I honestly, guys, I'm telling you right now, this team had better mind its P's and Q's.
I agree.
Against the Broncos.
I think so too.
Because the last thing you need is what happened last year. The game where they won, they beat Carolina. They scored 9 points, and we were all going,
I know.
"Oh my!"
Oh yeah.
And now in the end, it didn't matter because they had momentum going. They played horrible going into the postseason, and they manhandled the Eagles, gave themselves a chance against the Lions in the playoffs. So it wasn't really relevant. But the way this team is going right now, like you mentioned earlier, JB. Monday, these power rankings that various services like Pro Football Talk, I pay attention to those guys a lot. They have the Bucs 3 in the NFL.
Wow.
So and the Saints made the biggest jump, like 12 or 13 spots up into their top 10, whatever you want to take from that. But when you're third on a power poll or power ranking, there's no hiding from that.
That's right.
So even a close, if they win 18-16 against the Broncos, they're 3-0, but that impacts the way people view your team. They've got to go out there and take care of it.
Baker Mayfield said Wednesday, he said on Wednesday, doesn't matter that we're 2-0. Last year we were 3-1, and you saw what happened after that. They know this game. They know what they need to do. They know not to get too high.
They could be 3-1. They could be 3-1 this year, and they know exactly what that gauntlet they're getting into. That's why, like you said, I see them going 4-0.
Are you quoting Cody Malk?
Well,
he's what a gauntlet. That was like a famous quote from him last year. The gauntlet we got in, man.
Well, it was a gauntlet on the schedule. It's just,
anyways,
the made-for-TV schedule is unbelievable. But if they go 4-0 like you think they can, that might be a cushion. It's getting to week 10, in my opinion.
Sure.
They've got to get to week 10.
Sure.
And I thought, when you look at the schedule, I thought at first, wow, if they get to week 10, 5-5, that's actually pretty good. And they have a chance now to go 6-4, 7-3 if they can reel off these wins. That's why this game it's a winnable game. Take care of it.
I can't let Aileen drop the 4-0, like Woj bomb here. Shout out Woj, by the way, retiring at ESPN. Pretty decorated career for him. Eileen, the 4-0 prediction.
So you obviously know my prediction this week.
Yeah, so I got your prediction.
And Dan, I think they win by like 10 or 12.
I have to tee you up for a prediction for this week and how you're feeling just early about the Eagles matchup. I mean, so how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited.
I haven't. The Eagles baffle me because I watched all of that Green Bay game, and then I watched a good chunk of the game Monday. But the Eagles are in a spot right now. They need to answer their own demons from the Monday night game.
We've got 8 teams at 2-0 right now.
Yeah.
After 2 weeks in the league, right, in the NFL.
Right.
After this week, I think there are only 6 teams could be 3-0. I don't know about my numbers.
I'm not sure. There's one division out there that has all losing records. I think it might be the AFC South.
Dan,
South.
We're on the right wavelength here because it's the perfect segue to. I think we should all just give a round of applause for the NFC South.
Yeah,
which
come
has
on,
a
y'all
winning
sleeping on the NFC
record.
South.
There you go.
Winning record.
There you go.
The Saints looking good, Bucs looking good, Falcons get that week 2 win that they needed, and look, the Panthers. They got Dave Canales over there. They got.
They're in a mess, by the way.
They got
problems. You think the Broncos are in a mess? The Panthers are in a mess.
Yeah, that's
true.
They got some serious dysfunction over there right now in Carolina that they are trying to roll past. So the NFC South. Look, it's going to be an interesting division. Of course, WFLA.com is your destination for all things Bucs related. A lot of key injuries that we are monitoring. Casey Sloan and the team in the WFLA newsroom will keep you posted, as well as our Bucs Insiders Dan Lucas, Aileen Hnatiuk, And yes, shout out Kenny Morales. Of course, we'll be
K-Dog.
on air all week long leading up to this week's affair against the Denver Broncos at home here in Tampa, Florida.
Oh, look at us, guys.
Yeah, look at the whole team.
Look how cute we are.
Buckify Bert's having a lot of fun.
I had
over
no
there on the
idea he was
right.
over my shoulder when we took that picture.
He's
Yeah.
he was pointing right at you, Dan.
Exactly.
Man, great to have, of course, our Bucs Insiders, Aileen Hnatiuk, Dan Lucas here on Bucs Bonus. We'll have Kenny Morales on future episodes as well. WFLA.com, your headquarters for all things Bucs, because WFLA, again, your official Bucs station. Thanks so much for joining us here on Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now. For Aileen and Dan, I'm JB.
Win.
Win. See you next time, folks. Be good.